Yes, we are.
Everything is everything. Respect.
Everything and everything. Respect the king.
Come on.
Y'all more.
All right. I think Joe might be late, you see. Are we on, right? We're going on?
We are. Yeah, you know we live. You know we live.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Let's play on one.
Yeah. Good evening. I hear one on Echo Day in the background somewhere. That's yeah. All right, folks, we're back. Welcome once again to our weekly podcast. This is the Sea Smoke Show. We like to call it Correct and Candid, or Candid and Correct, because we don't play games with the facts. We don't forward any agenda. There's no ulterior motives. None of that. This is straight up dealing with the issues, and we try to get different points of view, look at it from different angles. Tonight, we have on schedule a discussion about diaspora matters, in particular as it relates to land issues and scams that are being perpetrated, it seems, on those in the diaspora. I know of many people who, and I say many because of more than one, more than two, more than three, that give people money, and when they couldn't believe and find four sticks sticking out the ground, and they were hoping to see a finished structure. This one aspect of it. Another aspect is that they go to government, get land. Next year, you know, the government give the land to somebody else, unbeknownst to them, even though many have paid their taxes. Then they have to go to court now to fight the current owners, and also apparently the government and their offices. And there's something absolutely wrong with that system. So we hope we can shed some light on that this evening. This weekend will be Labor Day in Belize City. Interesting, of course, that Labor Day does not coincide with Labor Day in the United States of America, where it all started with the Haymarket riots in Chicago, where the labor unions declared a day and less work and more pay. So there are things in place now to protect those workers. But why it is not celebrated in May in the US is a mystery. They moved it to first Monday in September, of course, is a big thing, embellished by the big West Indian Carnival in New York and other cities. But Labor Day is actually May the 1st, which is commemorating the day of the Haymarket riots and all the other protests that happened throughout the United States. Be that as it may, here in Belize, we celebrate it usually with a little maypole dance. We certainly are going to have our usual shindig in the Charlie Burton Park. We have a five-a-side tournament, and we have a little exhibition boxing on top. So that's gonna be for the 29th of April, and that's another matter that has to be looked at. They have a habit of moving major holidays to like the weekend, giving people a long weekend. It serves that purpose, I imagine. But if something falls on the 1st of May, I think it should be celebrated on the 1st of May. That's like celebrating 4th of July on a weekend. It does not make any sense. You have to celebrate it the day it's slated for, no? All right. I see, Lisa, are you on?
I'm
I,
here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah. I
Good
see.
evening.
Yeah. All right. We are expecting Tessa Robinson, I believe, is going to be on with us this evening. And Deidre. Deidre said she's going to stop in for a while. So we have a few things. I don't know your mic. All right. When I speak, I see here we go. Hi, Tessa. How are you doing?
Hello.
Yeah.
How are you, G Mike?
Welcome to the show. All is well. Good to see you. Our co-host Gregory Morrison is on the corner over there, getting ready to get busy and get mischievous. Certainly, I got his agenda set there.
Good evening, Gregory.
Good seeing you. Good seeing you again.
You guys know each other?
Just on Facebook, but I have a long history with Tessa for many years now. We've been talking.
All right, we're not gonna get into the little private stuff here for now, but good to know. Yeah, man. Tessa, we've had some concerns from a number of people, and I was telling them that I know of some people who send money to Belize, and when they get a Belize, expecting to see a finished product, sticks sticking out of the ground. Sad scenario. See a lot of unfinished houses around Belize, by the way, and a lot of them are from monies that were paid to contractors, and before the job is finished, something happens. Contractor decide that's it, he going. The people lose their money and nothing is done. An important hi Deidre, good evening. Your mic is off though, so yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah,
we
and hi to Lisa.
Lisa, you hear Gregory? Yeah, mic is back off. All right.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
So we got a couple of things we need to address. Many will remember when then Dean Barrow visited New York. It was in New York, LA, and made the comment about the hotbed of corruption. and it really resonated with a lot of people because they said, well, finally, they're seeing what we have been trying to see. They might do something about it. I'm here to inform you people, it doesn't seem like anything has been done about that. And we're going to try to figure out tonight if there's any way we can do something. Those in Belize, those in the diaspora, we're all Belizeans, and we need to ensure that the interests of Belizeans are protected and the interests looked into, no? So, is it my mic that's up? I believe
Yeah,
they're
I
saying.
think we're getting a little bit of a back echo kind of reflection.
That's what I heard it, but I thought it was somebody else. See, that's how human nature is. We always try to blame somebody else, right? How about that? Is that my mic is down?
Okay, I don't know then. It's a little better now. No. Let's see how the best we could go through it.
We're not hearing your mic, G.
No problem.
Okay, we're hearing you now.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, testing 1 2 1 2. Gregory, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Okay.
All right. Tessa?
Yes, yes.
All right. So, guys,
Lisa?
Lisa still
Yes,
Lisa? All right.
I'm here.
And Deetra, turn your mic on, Deetra.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay, there's still a little echo. I think it's G mic though.
No, I don't think. Well, let me mute and then go ahead and with the conversation.
Okay. Okay, guys, go ahead.
Oh.
No, it's not Mike. It's not G Mike.
I'm gonna get out and come back in.
Okay,
I'm used to getting.
Everybody do it one at a time.
Hold on. What? Yeah. Hold on. Don't go nowhere.
Is it me?
Mute your mic. Who was that said me? Mute your mic, Lisa, please. Yeah, that is you, Lisa. That is you. All right. Can you hear the difference, guys?
Yes, we can.
All right. So, all right, let's go. Lisa, you might have to go back out and come back in or something, or check your mic. And what
was it Lisa or Deetra? Who was
that?
it?
Was Lisa. Deetra
Lisa?
is all right. Deetra is on and silent. So, all right. Yeah.
Okay, everything's so good now, though.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
All right.
So, now the diaspora, because the diaspora has issues with Belize in that we're not getting along as well as we should. I don't think. I have one comment about the diaspora that I would like to see the diaspora get organized, and I would like to see a representative from the diaspora sit in the House of Representatives to address diasporan matters. I don't know. It has not gotten any traction. Nobody has jumped on that, and I haven't heard any support for the idea. But I think it's common sense. Any views from you guys at all on that matter?
Well, something is better than nothing. I would think so. I don't quite know how they'll structure it. You know, how to organize an election or appointment, or how they would do it. Since it's the House of Representative, I think they would almost have to be elected. You know, to
well,
serve
they would be elected by the members of the diaspora. In fact, the Belizeans abroad would be entitled to vote, and they would then choose somebody over there that would be their representative. And I think a lot of times what we do is when we select these ambassadors, we pick somebody politically connected in Belize and send them over there. Why don't we select somebody like you, Gregory? You've been in LA for a long time. You've been in the US.
I don't want it.
Well, there you go.
Belizean people are hard to please. You know that?
Well, obviously from your comments right there, because nobody wants to do it, but we need to get it done. So that was interesting Few
I,
days.
I knew Roland York. That was our
Mm.
consulate general. I also knew our very first consulate general. I can't remember his name right now. And each of those people tell me they love the job they were doing, but boy, it's very tough to satisfy and please Belize people. And most of the time, it goes very thankless.
I don't know because people all over the human nature.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Belizeans
Yeah.
is pronounced
Paul
because
Warren was the other guy I knew that was the
yeah.
and he really enjoyed it, but he always complained about the fact that it's very tough position to
Um,
put yourself in.
Yeah.
Gregory or G Mike, do you guys remember the consortium that
Yes,
was
yes.
set up, I think, in the 1980s or so?
Mhm.
That was a very organized effort that actually started out of Belize.
Yes.
And well-known ministers were a part of it. And then there were
Yes.
different chapters in
Yes.
various states. There was a chapter in
Mhm.
Canada, in addition to the UK.
Yes.
I have been in contact with the former president, who's
Okay.
probably one of the last living presidents of the consortium.
Original. Yeah.
Yeah. And what he shared with me was the effort. The diaspora always wants to help,
Mhm.
but then it gets to a point where when a lot of people are involved, there's egos.
Mhm. Mhm.
In addition to, and this still happens when things are sent to Belize, they're not allocated as we specify.
Yeah.
And then there was issues in customs where people would take things and
Yeah.
things that were sent from hospitals, they were not
Allocated.
delegated as we had requested in the diaspora.
Mhm.
So part of why we're coming on the show is we love Belize. We love our people. We're always seeking ways to give back. And not only that, I think we're the biggest promoter of Belize, period.
Yes.
We're a walking testimony when we're here in the States or the UK or Canada. People see we're different. We
Mhm.
have respect. Belizean people are very intelligent. I cannot stress that enough, but I don't get why that talent is not recognized and honored in Belize.
Well, give me an example. Give me an example of that. Give me an example of how that is not recognized and appreciated, and that talent that you speak, because that talent is us too. We're all Belizeans, and you're saying that Belizean people are intelligent, and I don't think you'll get any argument from any of the panel here. But
the primary example is our students who go abroad to study. There's no incentive for them to return, and
that would not fit that not being appreciated, Deidre.
Okay, another example would be, and I'm going to speak for myself with what Tessa and I have discussed. I think it's a stab in the back for my own people to dare think they could fraud me or any fellow Belizean. How dare you?
All right, we'll get to that point, but I don't think that you can throw a blanket blame on all Belizeans for something like that. So
Oh
we have
no,
to
I
be
don't.
careful.
No,
But it
not.
sounded like you were generalizing there for a minute that the people in Belize are stabbing the people in the back.
No, it's
that's not
everyone.
That's not fair.
There's a selected few in Belize, and there's also a problem in Belize where people want to cover for others, especially if they're of a certain race. They feel that you're attacking a Creole person or a Black person. No, call that person out, especially if you know that they're doing wrong. When does this change? When does it change? And going back to what I said about the diaspora, we're the biggest promoters of our culture. We're walking advertisements because of who we are as people. We look different, we speak different, we act different. People want to know about Belize. Then we start talking about Belize.
Okay.
Mhm.
What would you identify as something that needs to be done to change that? What would the diaspora or yourself speaking on behalf of the diaspora want to see Belizeans do to more appreciate and more accommodate the diasporans?
What I do want to acknowledge, and I'm very grateful for, is the Ministry of Tourism opened up a diaspora relationship unit. a very professional staff is there. They're there to help us, and they've made themselves available. But what I'm seeing, what the problem is they're referring us to various departments. And mind you, they're referring us to leadership in these departments. For instance, the lands department. I've been calling the lands department literally every single day, various times of the day. No one answers the phone. I'm doing this purposely, emailing them every day and CCing various departments, and nobody answers or responds.
Well,
That's-
do you think that's because of that's a general call? It's not just pertaining to the
Yeah, that
diaspora.
is general.
So
They
that-
don't,
If-
government offices don't answer phones, but and I'll say in
Yeah.
Belize, because I don't
Then
know
it
that
shouldn't be-
usually in the US you'll send it to a number and you type this if you want that, but you're not gonna get people answering your telephone in Belize.
Okay, so
I'm
what
sorry.
needs to
I
be
wish
understood-
they would. I don't see
What-
why most of the time they're not doing anything.
What needs to be understood is we don't live, unfortunately. I wish I could. I have a daughter with seizures, and I have responsibility here in the States that prevents me from being in Belize full time. Unfortunately, I would love to be there. We don't live there. So with this diaspora relations unit, that needs to be understood with other ministries that we're reaching out to for assistance.
Let
We
us
need some. Mhm.
let us talk about the matter of fraud, because this is important. And I think this one we can go a long way with this. There are people in the U.S. that buy land in Belize, and I understand that some people have bought land and turn around, and the same land belongs to somebody else, and then they have to go through a court system. Nobody there to address it or help them with the matter. Do you know of any situations that fit that?
I had a personal experience recently, not going through the court systems, but someone was recommended by highly respectful people within Belize. I even called to verify this person's validity, essentially doing a background check. People vouch for this person. I think most of us are very intuitive, though, and it just didn't feel right. But this person was very persistent, persistent that they need the money, they need the money, they need the money. So I deliberately set on it, and I told the person, because we gave a deposit, I said, you know what, I want my money back, because it just doesn't feel right. And then he essentially said that I could not get my money back because I had already signed a contract with him.
He still have
So-
his land.
Say that again?
I said he still have his land he could sell, so I don't know why they wouldn't give you back your money in any.
Well, according to him,
transaction.
he could not give back the deposit because we signed a contract.
Yeah, sure.
So I did, I went ahead and paid. I don't want any bad blood. I'm all about promoting our people and supporting them. Went ahead and paid for the land. We're now almost going on 2 months from when it was paid off, and the guy went silent. I'm calling him, messaging him. I know people that know him. I'm reaching out to them as well. Nothing from this guy. He just went MIA. A very respectful realtor. I don't want to disclose her name, but she gave me a reference to someone who can physically go to the lands and look into titles for properties. So I paid this person to do so for me. And when she went to lands told her that no paperwork is filed under my name and there's no title for that land. So what I need to do is file a police report, but I'm in the States. So I had to book a ticket. I'll be in Belize. I won't say when, but I'll be in Belize in the very near future to file my police report and handle business there. But it's frustrating.
But I don't know. I see that you took a chance though in doing all that without having a representative here to look out for your interests. I understand you trust in this person, but that was kind of risky. If you're not here, and I'm sure you've heard the stories before. It wasn't. I don't think it'll surprise anybody to hear that people are being scammed, in particular people abroad here. It would be good if we didn't, but we have to cover, when I say CYA, You have to cover our
Yep.
rear and make sure that everything is in place, because in particular when you put money, money corrupts, you know, a lot of money corrupt quicker. So that might be it. I don't I wish you well. If that I would not advise anybody to do any transaction with anybody, whether in Belize or in the States, without you being there to be able to guide that through to finish and supervise it and make sure it's, or have somebody credible,
But
some
you might,
family member.
this could take years. You'd have to stay in Belize for years.
With it, I mean, don't you, I mean, you getting
I
somebody credible, somebody that you know, though.
Yeah,
I-
and this person, G Mike, his reference was a former magistrate. That his
Oh my
reference.
God.
So
Yeah, well,
I'm
you're-
no fool. I'm
oh,
all
yeah.
about
You're going to jail. I don't know. It's not funny. It is really not funny, but two of us are laughing. No, but Tessa, when you say it could take years, I mean, you put in place the proper infrastructure, the proper algorithm to make it work. The steps are necessary, but I mean, I don't think you
Well,
have to be here totally, but you have to know what is going on.
well, that didn't help me.
Tell us your story.
So Ricardo Borja, or Borja,
Uh-huh.
as you know, he's dead, but he was the closing agent. I didn't choose the closing agent. I went to a realtor, a really reputable realtor, and Ricardo Borja was the closing agent that was selected. And as you know, there's a very big issue there. There's a case of fraud, you know.
In your case, or in generally in some other cases?
Well, all the files have been frozen, and we know that, and there's been another death related to this as well. Borja. So the realtor that I was dealing with was mentioned in the Ricardo Borja's tapes, his testament or testimony, as an accomplice. And the thing is, maybe I should just read out what Amandala, 2023. It says, reports have now emerged that on August 18, a day before his death, Borja had reportedly testified in a leaked audio recording against an accomplice who was employed at a real estate firm in Plasencia. The two men crossed paths in 2019 when Borja was assisting a client from Panama in acquiring land in Belize. It was alleged in the recording that with the assistance of several land department employees, they fraudulently acquired vast pieces of real estate, often from deceased victims and their families. Borja recalled managing large sums of money during their association, fabricating false reports and paying employees from the lands department for sensitive records. So, and it goes on.
So there's a smoking gun, and there's something we can follow there. They're saying they paid members of the lands department to facilitate this fraud, correct? That's basically what they're saying.
So after this, RPM, Johnny Briseño, then started saying that he wants to bring back or to look into the real estate bill. So, you know, to look at regulations of the real estate industry, but we also need to look at lands, you know.
Well, I think first and foremost we need to look at lands. Yeah. Lands is a
hotbed of corruption.
Yes, indeed, and the bed is getting bigger and hotter. So I think at some point And anybody that has gone to lands department, you sit and come back totally frustrated because it's impossible. Half of the time the computer down. Half of the time the people in the sit down wrong to watch, you don't know what's going on. But they're making money. So why don't we hold their feet to the fire? Make sure they do what they're getting paid to do and put in place a proper checks and balance system. All right, I get the echo
There's
again.
an echo.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Gee, Mike, I want to add to that the diaspora. We're not begging the government for land. We're paying for it, which to me that should have some sort of a. I mean, we're not better than anyone, but there should be maybe a dedicated unit to assist the diaspora within lands for our concerns, because our investment doesn't stop with the purchase of land. We're going to hire labor within Belize to help build on that land. If we're in Belize, we're going to contribute towards the economy, and we're going to promote businesses within Belize. So there's a long-term relationship there, and more needs to be done. I didn't want to come on the show just to rant and complain. The goal is solutions. And if any minister is listening in land specifically, we need your help. We
And I
need,
think,
yeah.
and I was going to say, Dietra, if they make that type of facilitation, it would encourage more people to move to Belize. If they know they can, through some organization structured in Belize and managed in some efficient way and productive way, it would encourage more people to make that
Well,
decision to move, to buy land and build and move to Belize.
I know they now have somebody as a minister of the diaspora or such, but again,
Yes,
I think people in the
yes.
diaspora could better look out and speak for the diaspora. And we had a representative from the diaspora representing diaspora matters from the diaspora, but sitting in the house, coming to Belize whenever there's a meeting or something like that, being abreast of all the things that are happening, being able to have the ear of the other ministers that are responsible for different portfolios. I think it would help a lot. Now we have a fellow here that's asking this question, and it's not in line with what we're talking, but it could. I think we could address this. What is so wrong with Belizeans in the diaspora voting? I think we have discussed that ad nauseum, and one of the areas that came up is that there's so many Belizeans in the diaspora that they could sway an election, and I believe that whoever stirs the pot should be here to lick the spoon. Just my point of view. We could go all and on about that, but that I think now would like to confine our arguments for this show on the matter of Belizeans abroad being defrauded, and government of Belize not being responsible and not looking out for their interests when in fact they are Belizeans. And yes, you do contribute. Those in the diaspora contribute handsomely to Belize. Okay. I think though that you should be safeguarded as well as every other Belizean is. And none of that should be happening. And all we need is integrity on the part of public officers. But where are we going to find it? How can we get them to even answer the phone and speak to somebody? Where
Can I say something?
yeah, please.
Just to add to what Deidre said, I know that she has been calling. I as well have reached out to other personnel within Belmopan and different other ministries the past weekend and even up to late this evening. It is very difficult to reach someone in Belmopan for some ungodly reason. So what I did is I called San Ignacio town hall and found out something very interesting on how San Ignacio operates. And I don't know if this happens in the other districts too. So there are older properties in San Ignacio that the town hall receives tax payments for, and there are other properties in the town that Belmopan receives payments for. So like the lands department will collect certain tax fees for certain properties, and the town hall will collect certain fees for other properties. And I wonder if all of that too is part of where we as diaspora find problems with, that there is no one system for the lands department with people who are trained to do and follow through with applications, titles, and so forth. Because it seems to me like if this is happening in San Ignacio, where partially some residents are paying town hall for tax payments, and there are new landowners paying at the lands department, they don't, I mean, there's no speaking to each other, it doesn't seem, and they're two different systems.
I
So
think that's
it would make it easier for more fraud to continue, because they're not talking, they're not using the same system. You understand what I'm saying?
I
yeah.
don't know that is I think there are certain lands that the government, the central government deals with, and some that the municipality deal with. It happens in Belize City also. There are also certain fees and licenses that are collected by the city, some that are connected by the state, if you will, the country. What do you call that? The central government.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know that there's a different set of rules governing all city councils. I believe operate under the same guideline,
But
but
some
that
boundaries are I think are different. Whether they're part of a defined city or part of a village, and I think that's what probably happening. Why there might be those difference in tax collection
yeah,
going on.
that interesting problem there. I think we'd have to
You
maybe
see,
find out first about how it operates. No,
Yeah.
Deidre.
Yeah, I was going to mention that the Diaspora Relations Unit, one of the services that they advertise is assisting Belizeans in the diaspora in paying their property taxes. So I do know that they're
I'm sure they'll
scheduled.
help you with that if it's
Yeah,
about
yeah.
paying taxes. That you're not gonna have a problem with you, and they'll answer the phone too. I bet you. Yeah.
But actually, you
Well,
could
I've
pay your
never
tax. You
used
could.
it, so I don't know the process, but I was going to mention maybe this is a question when they're on the show next week for them on how that works.
Did
Yeah.
they agree to come on? Did somebody give you a commitment? Um,
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But
well,
you can pay. You can pay in Belize City. You can pay your taxes online directly from
Mm,
here. I've done that in the
that's
past too.
true.
So I don't need diaspora organization to do that. But if they're helpful in ways to make it happen for people that want to do it that way, I think it is a good idea. What I would like them to be able to help with is helping you secure a piece of land.
but
Knowing that
see,
you're.
yeah. That I don't. You're right. You don't. And like you're saying, Deidre, they were willing to help you with paying the taxes. I don't think you need help in that.
Mm,
And anybody who can go online and you can do that. You don't need that. That's a waste of resources, in my opinion, for the
mm.
diaspora
Yeah, it's false.
department to
It's
be
that part
doing
is
that.
false. Yeah, that's false. I don't
Yeah.
need
So
that.
I
I need them
would
to help me get a piece of land if I
get
if
a
I
piece of
so
land if
request.
there's any available.
Hmm.
Make sure that there's a structure in place to ensure that when you pay your money, that you can have some department here in Belize that's looking out for your interests if you are not
Hmm.
able to be here for any period of time. So I think
Hmm.
that's some of the recommendations we need to make to them. Now
Yeah.
the part of the going to get a piece of land from the government and then turning around and find out the government has reissued that land to somebody else, that should not be the responsibility of the original or legal owner to take that to court and win that. That's a no-brainer. That should be done. So there's so much in place to complicate the system, I think that is mostly to get people to give up and say, you know what, many people have done that. You know, many people have said, boy, I'll have to swallow this one and move on. That's
Mhm.
not fair.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when one loses, everybody loses. Let's be real, no? So
Correct.
I think it's a system that definitely needs to be looked at. But who's gonna build that cat there?
Yeah,
I'm not. Go ahead.
we need someone to step up. As I said, if a minister's listening, we need someone to step up. Prime Minister Briceño said he wants to connect with the diaspora.
And
This is a way to connect with us.
you know,
Help us.
as a politician, I was telling you that, right? It is a politician. So you know when they say how you know when a politician is lying, when his lips are moving. So I'm not gonna go there with that. But
I want to believe in them though, G Mike.
yeah,
I
all of us
really
do. But how
I
long
want
do
them
we
to be the
believe before
heroes.
we start questioning
Mm,
when is it gonna happen? You
mm,
know, and I'm convinced that a big part of it is that they themselves are involved
mm.
because these people facilitate their desires and their need and their greed. And then when it comes down to where you have to tell them, well, you need to do your job. How can you do that when I mean you're indebted to them? You see,
Yeah.
so I think.
What I would like to see, and I know I'm aware of the reality, but I'm not coming on this show to bash anyone. We want to foster a relationship with the ministers in Belize. We help you, you help us. You know?
Yeah, I find though that when you pull punches, you don't hit hard enough.
Mm,
Sometimes you need to just go at it and lay it out there. If they can't, if they're too thin skinned to take criticism as such and suggestions, then they are in the wrong business.
mm.
Maybe they need to be, somewhere doing some janitorial services or something. No, but I'm just
Right.
I
saying.
It's
I
really
do think
interesting.
I do think though the part of the whole process needs to be that the lands department and many other of the department in government that provide services need to be more transparent. They need to be more open and more accountable. And so that's the structure we need. That you know
Do we have
the
a model to go to build on? Do we have something that works?
Belize is unique in the way the land is owned by the government and issued. It's not something like you have in the United States. All land here that I've dealt with or been around seems to be private land that you transact with individuals. And then the government is very sure to make sure that those transactions are completed and there's law and order in how it's processed. But when we have the government as the owner and issuer of lands, it makes things a lot more complicated and we see this not to balk on things but just to mention some of the concerns that the Mayan communal land rights people have with some of the concerns about how lands is generally issued in Belize, and so that concerns me. And I think if we open it up, it makes it better for everyone. It makes it more transparent. It makes it more accountable. And then some of the claims and some of the concerns that they have might go on the wayside that, people are stealing the land and there's none going to be left for their children.
Aria disagreeing with you on some matter. Something you said that she doesn't
Oh,
agree
well,
with
she
is
could tell
the
me what
land
it is.
in the U.S. Maybe that you were
Private,
saying that
no, I think I was saying that I don't see people buying land from government. I know people buy land from government. I'm saying the lands that I dealt with is private land. That's how I've bought houses. That's how I've bought
people to
tracts of
people.
land.
Um,
It's always from individuals. I've
what
gotten land where I bought it from the state because it was like tax lien sales and things like that. But
Yeah. Um,
but I
yeah.
don't see you going to the government to apply for a piece of land. So I don't know what Aria's disagreement and concern was, but she could share that with me. She could
I
post it and we could discuss it.
First of all, I think we really what bothers me a lot is when we see governments, respective governments, the land changes hands from government to government, crony to crony. So when one government is in, they issue a whole bunch of land to a lot of people to try to entice them to vote. And then when the next government comes in, they issue land to
Well, I don't
another.
have a problem with that as long as it goes into private hand. What bothers, I don't mind
No,
an
but private
individual
hands.
people. No, I don't mind an individual getting a piece of land even to vote for somebody. That is the least of my concern. So somebody have to give me a piece of land,
You
and
don't
if it's
see a
not
problem with
PUP,
that.
not
Be-
necessarily.
Because
If
the
it's not
land is
PUP,
not for them. The
no,
political party does not own the land, Gregory.
I understand that, but
Government owns it, but not a political party. You can't give it as patronage to people for their vote,
well,
man.
the-
I
well,
see.
the-
I can't see you not finding something wrong, but that's all
no,
right.
no,
But
I'm not. No, I'm
yeah,
saying that is not the problem for me.
that is
And
not your
I didn't say
primary
it's not an
concern. Go
issue.
ahead. Yeah, yeah.
My concern is, for example, there was some land that was transferred just before that last election. We found about hundreds of acres or thousands of acres to the port people that transferred within a couple weeks of the election, and then it got sold. It got sold to some people for 100,000, and 2 or 3 weeks later, it got sold again for $3 or $4 million. Those are the problems, and those are the issues that concerns me about land fraud and land irregularities in Belize. It's not giving somebody a piece a lot to build a house because they're a supporter of mine.
Yeah, but
I think every Belizean is entitled to a lot and to whatever acreage they could make useful use of to
But I
do
think there ought to be a
something.
criteria, don't you? And for getting that land, just voting for somebody is not a good criteria. I really don't see that. I don't see they should
Yeah.
have that kind of authority. But that's me. I mean, and yes, we disagree on that. Then fine. But I just don't see that. But going on, there are issues galore though when it comes to the diaspora and the people of Belize. I don't think that we should let it be the wedge that drives between us. I think we need to try to do what we can to correct it when we could. And we have to differentiate between when it's a personal thing or somebody made a personal goof or something like that, and then where it's systematic, where it's something that's there and that's affecting most people. And certainly the corruption is a big part of it. And until they try to to do something about that, but nobody's trying. And I don't know if we're it seems like and that piece of land near the top where the Gregory, you know why it doesn't? Because once one government gets in there and gives their people a little piece of land, then they shut up. And then there's no more, they okay. And in fact, they start defending the system that's doing it. So
Yeah.
So what
G Mike, can I?
saying is that it's a political economy. So land is part of the political economy, and that's what he's having problems with. But then when you think about land, it is it's sold in American dollars. You have to move. It's almost as though it's no longer under Belize jurisdiction. It suddenly changes. It exists, and you have franchises, really big franchises, big realtors from the US working here. But they don't have the regulations as well, you know. So it is like an American product. And G might just also mention something else. It is part of the political economy. So there's lots of things. The moment you touch on land, something, it's a very difficult thing to conceptualize.
do you guys think there should be a limit on the amount of land one particular person can buy? Let's see what Aria is saying first of all. Belize systems need to be regulated. Belize a lot of clouded titles because of the phenomenon of multiple families and children and people trading with no knowledge of the law.
That's correct.
Yeah, yeah, there has to be proper regulations for sure. I think you have to explain that a little a little more detail. But I kind of that part of the many problems that we are faced with. No?
One of our concern was that a lot of time family land, grandma died and left the land for the family, whoever lived in the yard, and then all of a sudden, three, four generations of people live there, the brother, the sister, their kids, and then they each claim, or nothing happens to solidify or define who owns it, and it creates problem. I've seen where, or I've heard of instances where people lived on the land, other family, and somebody go and sell the land, and the whole rest of the family is in trouble, thinking they have to move off the land because an uncle went and sold it. You know, or
Make no mistake, it's not a small matter that you're dealing with here. There have been murders
yes, yes,
committed over land. And in
yes,
particular, that family matter thing is
yes.
even worse. I had a situation. I came back to Belize in 1991, developed a house that I grew up, was born and raised in, filled the land from back. Fortunately, I got the piece that I'm sitting on in my name from before my aunt died. She died without leaving a will, and her
Hmm.
son stepped up and said the land is hers. And because he was the only son to her, notwithstanding that she raised 16 grandchildren, and it was initially my grandfather's place. But what are you going to do about something like that? Either kill the person, and in particular when they have enough money to hire lawyers and you don't. At
Hmm.
some point, you just have to say, well, you know what, this one is not winnable.
Yeah,
But there's so many instances where people in the states have invested money in Belize, have bought land, and when they realize, but wait a minute, and the title is not there, and somebody should be there to pro bono even defend these people's interests.
yeah.
Maybe
Some,
that is something that can be set up by the diaspora and funded by the diaspora.
yeah. Somebody told me a story once about this guy. He went to Belize. It was a family land. He went there. He saw his piece where he grew up. He knocked down the house that he grew up in, and he had his cousin, one of his family member, um, sending money to him to build a new house. The guy built the house, and he would occasionally send him pictures of the progress on the house, and this guy is consistently sending money. At one point, he tell the guy, his cousin, "I'm coming." His cousin say, "Go away."
There
So
was no house.
Oh, no.
no, the house was there, but he's telling him it's not
Oh,
yours.
you
That's
can't
hilarious.
stay there with me?
Yeah, yeah. So it gets serious, and that way you talk about murders and stuff that has
Yeah,
happened. And
yeah,
so
yeah. Because
these things are what dissuade people from making the decision. And that's why I said if we could set up within the diaspora organization that they're doing for titles and stuff, those type of clarity where you could, you know, purchase a piece of land, have your title, and then you know that that is yours. It's not going to be touched. Nobody could do anything with it. And then you could make decisions about when to build, how to build, and how to make your retirement move.
what we need to demand is a unit indeed that protects the interests of those in the diaspora. It's so important. They're an important part of us. Again, and not the pontification, not the um, promotion, not the built for TV kind of thing, but something that works and really
Yes.
has an effect on changing the status quo. Because what we have here now does not work. It is
Yeah.
corrupt. It is ridiculous, unfair. And for people to go abroad as it is, they're making that sacrifice to be over there. Make no mistake. Many
It
would
is.
rather be in the sea breeze and delight that we enjoy every day, but they're over there because of financial reasons. They want get one at least something, get one a nest feathered there properly. But if you to what avail? Do you know the kind of mind one person could develop is in do all the work and then somebody will tell him like where your friend tell him come
Yeah,
away?
yeah. Go away.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so something is gonna have to be done, and I don't know. Again, I say we need a representative from the diaspora in Belize with access to all government offices in every way to facilitate the needs of people abroad. Um,
That would help. That would help. But the other, if the mechanism and stuff it doesn't change in a way
But
to.
isn't that a part of what that would do? That person would be
It
there
could.
putting those changes in place. You have to,
Yeah.
and we have to start somewhere, Greg. If we knock
No,
it
no, I'm
down
not
before we
dispelling that.
move,
I'm not dispelling that. I'm just saying that is a worthy effort, but lots of things have to fall in place to make that
that's
work
a given.
too.
That's
Yes,
a given.
yes,
But
yes.
yeah, maybe we'll
I
have to take some
mean,
baby steps.
Yeah.
Mr. Mario Lara just wrote, as long as people want a system that allows area reps to be able to intervene on their behalf, there won't be an efficient and transparent system.
Probably so.
Ye-
Ministerial
Yes.
discretion. That's one of the downfall of our democratic system
But
as,
but but
as
but
it
Mhm.
as
but,
it's
but
practiced in Belize.
what is he saying again? Read that again for me, please.
It says, as long as people want a system that allows area reps to be able to intervene on their behalf, there won't be an efficient and transparent system.
Mhm.
Yeah, do we have that system? And is that what happens? Because all right,
Doesn't the
it
minister
happens.
go to the passport office and open files and tell the people what to do? Doesn't the minister go to the land department? Mr. Cowie is here and direct the clerks and stuff what land
But
parcels
that's
to.
that's not the system as it's set up though. That's
It
how
is the
it's being.
practice. It is
It's
the
the
practice,
practice.
and
Yeah,
it and it's avail itself to the corruption and the issues that make the system not work.
what does an area rep do though? What is he supposed to do? Um,
Well, Mr. Cowie could answer that best for us. He was
should
one
they be able to intervene on the part of their constituents?
to
Joe,
some
good
degree,
evening.
but
Welcome to the show.
not to the
Are you
way
there?
where they.
The purpose of the area representative is to make laws. They are there as legislators to enact laws. Evidently, the executive, which under the Constitution gives direction and control over the management of the public service. Because the legislators passed the Appropriation Act to allow the executives to carry out the Constitution, which is to defend and protect our rights. So to suggest in any way that an area representative would not have the right to go into any department to make an inquiry where he believes there is justification of wrongdoing against our citizens, that is the right of a representative.
I don't think anybody is saying no to that, but we're talking about the meddling that makes things not work in the structured and organized way and transparent way that it should. I don't think anybody is saying that an area rep shouldn't be able to advocate on the part of his constituents. That is
Well,
why
it
we want
sounded
them.
a
That's
bit
their.
like
But the area rep has no right to violate the law.
But they do.
No, that is different. That is different. There's a difference between the violation of the law and the area rep representing the constituents within the law.
Yeah. And I don't think anybody have that issue.
So therefore, we're not supposed to have any problem with it unless we know somebody who is doing it, who is violating the law.
Joe, you have a way of putting something in there. We're kind of like, all right, then.
I think one of our problems, Mr. Chairman, and I regret coming in at this moment because it's a very sensitive issue we are dealing with. We tend to believe that we elect these people and we must understand what is their responsibilities under the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution. Now, we ourselves have a tendency to want to define their obligations, which doesn't exist. We are bound by the supreme law of the land, the Constitution, and all the other laws, the thousands of provisional laws that flow from the Constitution. Evidently, we must understand them and know the extent to which the area representative responsibility begins and where it ends, where the executive begins and ends, and the judiciary. So we have a separation of powers, but much of part of it is just theory, because the practice under the parliamentary system, because of a small population in Belize, clearly does not really separate the executive and the legislative. So we could accept that, yes, they do not separate, but we must know what is the responsibility and the obligation of an
How
representative.
about and you have been a minister, you've been in that position. How about when you were asked to um, bypass the system? And Aria is talking about instructing public officers to do so. And that is done
Well,
voluntarily.
we saw the prime minister did that recently with some agricultural or some plants that was coming in when he called the customs officer. So we see those type of things. We know it happens, and it's okay to advocate on the part of your constituents, but it's when you're violating and breaking and subverting the laws that is the issue.
Well,
Yeah, but
that should never be done. Well,
no,
go
but
ahead, Joe.
It's so easy to
we are
Oh,
happen.
dealing
we're
with
having speaker problems, guys.
we are dealing with two issues. One, no one is above the law, not even the prime minister of a country. So that's a fundamental principle. No one is above the law. So don't ever believe that legislators or ministers have any special privileges to violate a law. That is not true. And that will be proven in America shortly with Trump. But anyhow, let's take to Belize. I think what is happening to us, ladies and gentlemen, and please forgive me if I may come over as an intellectually arrogant person. The problem with us in Belize, we do not take time out to understand the Constitution and the laws that flow from it. So what we do, sometimes we convict a representative or a minister because of what we believe is wrong. But it's not what we believe is wrong makes it wrong. It's what it is wrong by law. We are governed by the rule of law. So whenever we want to pin any era representative or minister for doing anything wrong, we have to be able to show the evidence where they are violating the law. And not just because we do not like them, because we are of one party and they're of the other side. And that's our problem. We lose objectivity because of a tribalism in the country.
Uh, well, listen. The fact is, Joe, the system is not working as it is, and I hear you explaining that away in as simple as being legal or illegal. But it's a bit more than that because they will bend those laws, and you know that. Um, they they do a lot of things that they shouldn't do. How now are we going to put in place the proper mechanism to prevent this from happening? And these are some of the things that we're trying to find out here and discuss on the show. How
Well,
we
Well,
uh-huh.
one of
but
the things
let me again try to throw some light on it. A person can operate on the windy side of the law, and that might make it unethical, but it doesn't make it illegal. And this is not being funny, and this is not trying to be tricky and technical.
Well,
No.
you're being confusing, I'll tell you that much.
Well, let me try to clarify then if it's confusing. You can operate at what appears to be on what they call the windy side of the law. In other words, you may be unethical in your behavior. For example, if the prime minister picks up a phone and calls someone at the border, a custom officer, to question him and to suggest that perhaps you should review the matter. To us, based on the way we are govern the country and govern the public sector, that might be against the protocol, but it doesn't violate the law for him to do that. Now, if he calls upon a custom officer or an immigration officer to tell them to do something which is against the law, no, that's a violation of the law. So you are dealing with protocols, you are dealing with ethics, and you are dealing with the law.
Yeah. Well, that's my point. And I think, and I do recognize we do have to have ministerial discretion in governing and in governance.
You do?
Yeah, we do.
So.
We
I
we
don't
we
agree
do.
with
We
that.
do have to have
No, I
times
agree.
where a minister has to make a decision, but
Go
somehow
ahead.
we want those people. We want to hold it to a different light where with what latitude we give them in what areas and how they could make those decisions. Right now it's whatever the minister does in convention to what he wants to do. He says, oh, I acted on ministerial discretion, and therefore everything, all the rules, all the rules that said you have to do this to have a port and follow these procedures and stuff to make your filing, if he rules it in a certain way, then they say, oh, I made that decision based on ministerial discretion, and there's nothing legally, I think Mr. Cowie was kind of pointing out, makes it illegal that could challenge, although all of us that looks at it realize that there was something grossly disfavoring the intent of the law and the ethics of how we would want to operate as a country.
So why
But
then would we want to leave that door open, though? Why would we want
Because
to
there are
give them?
circumstance times when you really do need someone to be able to
Make a
make
decision.
sense of something. Yes, make a
Yeah,
decision
but
about
that's,
something.
that would not be discretion. You don't need discretion for that. You got a law to follow. The laws are there and quite clear. You have the law. I mean, what
But-
discretion?
There is. Let's say tomorrow there's an investor, a genuine investor that comes into Belize and say, I can make use of of some resource you have right now, right? The Sargasso grass we have, and the minister could say, okay, we'll go ahead and set up, let you present a paper. We won't go through the long environmental impact, but we
Why
look
not?
at it because the investment is timely,
Yeah,
right?
but what time?
No, I'm
There's
just saying.
no
I'm just saying.
time.
I'm just giving you an example of where I believe the ministerial discretion works. I'm just giving you an example. And he
It's a
says,
poor example.
but he's
Good.
not taking any money from them. It's in the genuine interest of protecting the
Then go
keys
through the
and the
proper procedure,
resources.
my brother. Go through
Because
the
sometimes that takes time, and
and
sometimes the money will
duh,
not
where
stay.
are we going? What's the rush?
But can I say something here again? Ministerial discretion can only be exercised where it is provided for in the law. What we
I
want
agree.
to do and should be doing is to begin to remove ministerial discretion, which is subjectivity, and make the laws more objective. Now,
Okay.
look at the ministerial discretion. The Lands Department says, under the law, under the National Lands Act, if you want to subdivide land, you put your application in. You have a lot utilization authority made up of technical people who will vet your application to ensure that it is in accordance with the law.
Right.
One of the things we need to understand about our laws, public officers cannot make decisions which are not in a law. What public officers do is to enforce laws. So if the law is saying for you to get subdivision, you have to do A, B, C, D. The Land Utilization Authority is only there to make sure you do it. Now, where the law, to me, falls short, and these are the things we should look at, it gives the minister the decision, the final decision, whether he should approve or not. Now,
Exactly.
that to me is one of the areas that you do not need to have in your law, but it is there. So what happened? There are cases where ministers have, in fact, in using their discretion, could not have satisfied the requirements and intent of the law, were taken to court and the government lost the case. Because when the minister is giving, when it is giving ministerial discretion, it's not absolute. It's not absolute discretion. It has to be done within reasonable circumstances.
I'm trying to remember one incident in which the government won one of those cases. They lose all of them.
They
And it's
probably
money that
do.
they have to pay out to the people. I am wondering why it's not possible that if a minister like that, like this last piece of land that was sold just before the last government, and the government had to buy it back for a ridiculous amount of money, why doesn't and the judge is saying, and you recall this case, Joe, the judge is saying, well, it wasn't the fault of the buyer, so we can't penalize him for it. When it was the buyer, the seller, the fault of the seller, why we can't penalize him for it? Why does he walk away scot-free because he's a government minister and the people of Belize have to pay?
Well, let me
Yeah.
explain that to you, Mr. Chairman. That is a fault of the law, but it is a fact what the judge is saying. Under the Lands Act, the National Lands Act, there is no provision for you to sell land at market value. Because if it was so, the lower income people will never be able to get land. Only those who have money will be able to get land.
No.
So what the law provides under the National Lands Act, you have a committee who the minister appoints. that committee will look at lands and try to arrive at a value that they believe is reasonable, not market value.
Okay.
Now, if when he arrives at the value, he said, listen, this land, swampland, can be sold for $1,000 an acre.
Right.
The person buys the land for $1,000. But the person goes now and says, guess what, I could sell this land for $10,000 an acre. And he sells the land for $10,000 an acre. That is quite within the law. What should be done is this. Before, for you want to get those lands like that, you were not allowed to buy outright. They were leased you and the condition that you develop. And then when you develop it, then you can buy. But because of removing that now, it weakens where you can buy the land, even though you didn't develop it, and sell it just as it is and make money. But it is the law. It is the law that allows it. And that's why those are the things that we should change. No, I'm not suggesting in no way that ministers may not have indeed violated laws. They have and get away with it. Sure, they do.
Well, but I am saying to
But-
you,
but-
when there are these outright blatant violations, should they not be held responsible?
Of
Should
course.
they not have to? Why does the government have to? If a minister sells some money, some land for some money to somebody, and it turns out that they're not supposed to sell it, and government had to take it back. Government then has to pay that person market value now. Let's go to market value, because now that the market value, they have to pay them. Why then does the people lose that money as opposed to the minister who did the wrong, not getting reprimanded for it, walks away scotch-free? Nobody can send unto him.
But I don't understand how you arrive at he walking away scot-free. The point to be made is this.
Uh-huh.
If government, look at your constitution. The constitution put private property as something very sacred. But it allows the government to acquire your private property if it is for public purpose.
Yes.
But when the government acquires it, prove that it's for public purpose, the government have to pay you, the citizen, market value.
I don't think we were talking about eminent
We're
domain.
not.
I think
Yeah.
it's more when the minister agrees to sell some land and then have someone buy it at a lower price than you said
The
they do
value.
have the authority to sell it below market value, but then they also sell it to a friend and then turn around and have an interest in the resale of that land. That is the corruption, and that is where it's hard to track and to make everything accountable.
No, but you
so,
have a...
so,
you,
so they could buy that
No, but you
acre
have a-
for they
yeah,
could
but-
buy that acre for, let me finish. They could buy that acre for $1,000, but when he sends 100 acre of it to a friend for $100,000, and then that friend turns around and sell it to the port people for $5 million, and only $100,000 goes into the national treasury, and $5 million goes into the friends of the minister, and something gets back to the minister. Those are the problems.
Yes, no. The problem is because it's not that the law isn't there. The law is there for it. If you look on the code of conduct, that is a violation of the law. The problem with us, I'm repeating again, we have the tort of misfeasance. Under the tort of misfeasance, you can take action against a minister. A citizen can do it. Anyone of you can do it. The problem with us, we do not want to do it.
Joe, I don't think that's fair.
It's not.
That
no.
they're not going to make that easy to do at all.
No,
When has anybody ever been able to take any action against any minister?
Mr. Chairman.
Who you going through? The police? You
Mr.
remember?
Chairman.
You remember Commissioner Wiley? You remember Commissioner Wiley, sir?
You're using the word fair just now to say that it is not fair. But it's not whether it's fair or not. It's whether it is a violation of the law or not. No. If a minister violates the law and they decide not to take action against him, who is to be blamed?
The authorities that are supposed to be taking action, and the regular person can't do nothing.
No,
We can't do nothing about that.
No, hold on. Let me follow it up. I agree with you. The director of public prosecution should do it.
Who appoints the director of public
Yeah,
prosecution?
yeah, we could go down that, yeah. Wrong that mulberry bush all day long if you want.
You know
Yeah.
why we are going to do this, Mr. Chairman? Because I sense there is a reluctance on us to want to understand the supreme law of the land and the laws of this country. And therefore, we try to make things the way we think it should be and not the way it ought to be. If you are violating the law, action should be taken. Look at this recent case. I will use the name of Boots Martinez, where he wanted to remove an area representative. Have you followed that procedure there? Did you follow it? And to see whether, in fact, that law was carried out as the way it should?
Well, obviously, the chief elections officer did not pass it on in a timely fashion. That's what happened.
Well, ask yourself, did the Governor General?
Well, yeah.
The law requires that it should be dealt with forthwith. Did the Governor General do that?
Yeah.
She took a month, and did she have power discretion?
No. The law, no. Read the law. The law is a short law. Take time out.
Forthwith, yeah.
As it say, mayor shall.
No, he said forthwith.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
then-
what
and we know a month is not forthwith.
That's right.
Well, depends on the busy. You got a lot of things to do.
Well,
You got wiggle room there for play with.
And those are the vagueness of the law that people abuse.
Well,
No. It's not a vagueness of the law. Nothing is vague about that law.
But forthwith is an undefined time, and therefore it's
Not
like
true. No, forthwith has been defined in law more than once.
oh, it has.
Of course, you had
has
case.
been what? There's a number of layers or number.
Let me tell you a
month?
case that it was used. The person was the vehicle was stopped. The person was checked. He didn't have the license. I know. He told the police that he have the license at home. No, indeed, the police interpreted that he must produce it there and then. The matter went to court. When he went to court, the court interpreted that forthwith never meant that he had to give it to you there and exact then. If the man was given the time, knowing that he could have done it within a reasonable time, he could have been given the opportunity to go home, get his license, and report at the court within a certain time. So
But what is that certain time? What
No, but I'm saying to you, Mr. Let us not be unreasonable.
No,
If
I'm trying to understand.
No, well,
I'm
let
trying
us
to-
understand together. If you are saying forthwith, give me a circumstances where you believe you can find a case where forthwith within 1 month.
I don't believe it. That's why I've said it was abuse. That's why I believe it was an abuse of
We're
the
quibbling over
system
something, yeah.
and the
but-
privilege under the law that defined
Semantic,
it as
semantic.
forthwith.
Well, do not say that we are quibbling over our right.
Yeah, we got back down in a definition of a word where that's kind of
But
vague.
it is very
No,
important
that is
because it is in law.
what
It
will
is in
make us-
law, and we need to figure out how to remove
With
A
the
those.
reasonable time. Forthwith, reasonable time. How about that?
Even reasonable, I don't know what reasonable, because what's reasonable to one
So
person
you see, we
is-
could go
is-
down again. I mean,
No, I'm just saying I don't like those vagueness. I don't
Right.
like those
Well,
things.
they exist though.
Unless somebody will define for us legally
Mr. Morrison,
what
if
forthwith
you
is supposed to mean.
reasonableness, does it make it such that we shouldn't have it within a law? Our laws have to be reasonable. Every law.
Yes, I understand.
Let's get back to the matter at hand because we try
Yes.
figure out how we can work out this diaspora Belize
Yes.
relationship.
And
Uh,
Aria had mentioned something about public officers and holding them accountable. Was that what she had said?
Yes.
Because so basically, I remember that Dean Barrow had said basically that they have tenure, so you can't get rid of them except to go through a process that sees you bring administrative charges. There must be a hearing before the Public Services Commission, which seems to be very reluctant to fire officers. And even when you do that, they go to court and they get lawyers and they say the proceedings were flawed. The Public Services Commission had not been doing it properly. So what is the issue there?
Listen,
Well, the Prime Minister said it best. The people representing the government is not the very best.
I've said this for the longest. We have sacrificed truth and common sense at the altar of technicality. The technicality wins out every time. So it doesn't matter how, and I'm a sad situation. It works a lot in government. Mario is saying something here. Let's see. Multiple problems, inadequate laws and lack of integrity. So, so we need to strengthen laws and foster a culture of integrity. But
Yeah.
who will build the cat? Yeah. Need a watchdog organization with teeth. Well, I also think that we should have ad hoc committees. We should have committees set up to deal with these issues as they arise, one at a month, and get people, interested citizens with enough guts and enough bucketive in that you don't have to depend on government, because many people depend on government to live, and in fact government can in fact make it difficult for you to live even if you don't depend on them. So we need to put in place I think it's common sense. We should have a whistleblowers act, protect whistleblowers, people who see these wrongs and want to report them, want to see something done. But again, the question lingers: who will bail the cat? Because we have right now, I see people on Facebook who are rabid supporters of one party or the other, defending everything we one do and condemning everything the other does. How do we move away from that? And how do we, and these are usually the loud people, vociferous, and they will argue with you and get belligerent and all of that. What do you do? I mean, most people just give up and say, you know what, they're not got time for this. It's not worth it. I don't know. Is it worth it, Joe? Because that's what you're saying. Is worth it for us to go through it, right?
I believe, Mr. Chairman, after 20 years in the public service myself and 10 years within the public service as a representative minister, I have come to the conclusion, and I can defend my position, that the problem in Belize is not necessarily our laws. Not saying that they cannot be strengthened and should not be strengthened. Our laws will always have room for improvement, like all governing institutions. The problem in Belize, the number one problem, is in fact the lack of compliance or enforcement. That's your problem.
Yes.
We are not prepared to comply with the law or enforce the law. Let me give you a quick example, if you allow me to. Under the section of the Constitution that deals with finance, where when you pass the Appropriation Act for 1-point-something billion, the Act requires, the Constitution requires, that at the end of that year, within 6 months, 3 months to get all the national accounts to the Accountant General, 3 months for the Auditor General to audit, and they have a table in the House. No, that is the law. Not it's the supreme law, it is in. And then the Finance and Ad Reform Act is in. Now, for 12 years, 7 years, 8 years, we have not audited that. That is a violation of the law.
So who
Barbados have resolved that issue by making the leader of the opposition the Auditor General. And therefore, you know that it's going to happen because they are always going to hold the government accountable. Those are some of the things.
No, Barbados could not have solved it that way. They couldn't. It's impossible. Let me tell you.
That's what they have.
No, they didn't. I know the Barbados situation. No, let me tell you what happened. You can give the Auditor General all the powers you want, but the Auditor General cannot enforce finance officers to do what they should be doing in preparing the accounts, to have them sent over to the Accountant General. The Auditor General only comes in when he receives it. The Auditor General cannot go to no ministry and tell no finance officer, listen, you better begin to comply with the standing orders. You better begin to comply with the store orders. You better begin to comply with the transparency and accountability law. The Auditor General will never and can never be allowed to do that. The Auditor General jobs begin when he receives the national accounts from the Accountant General. So changing your Auditor General could only help if the accounts are ready. But if they are not, the Auditor General hands are tied.
And
so you're saying each ministry doesn't even prepare their budget and their expenditure?
No. What I'm saying,
as it stands
right
now?
I'm saying, you have over 1,000 financial orders and store orders that come under the Audit and the Finance Reform Act, which is distinctly telling you how you are to take your records, how you are to record them, how you are to prepare the national statements, your financial statements, your balance sheet, your cash flows. Every ministry has to have that done. Then they have to turn over to the accountant general. All of those are what you call the national accounts. Then the accountant general turns them over to the auditor general, and then the auditor general audits. Now, if you have the finance officers not doing it, who is to enforce it? To me, that's a responsibility of the minister, because the Constitution gives the minister the responsibility for direction and control over his portfolio.
Mario is saying allow the diaspora to vote. I don't know if he thinks
So-
that's
yeah.
gonna solve all the problems.
Yeah,
I
but-
don't know. We looked at that before, and we can look at that again at another time. But I don't think we're dealing with the diaspora vote this evening.
So, Mr. Corey, sorry, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Corey, what you're saying is that our system is broken, even to the very first point where the minister is not meeting its obligation to make sure that his ministry has prepared whatever financial document they need for the expenditure and the income statement for their ministry. Is that where it fails at the very first level?
Exactly, it failed. As a matter of fact, do you know that the Minister of Finance, the Prime Minister of this country, was taken to court for the reason that they
Yes.
wanted a declaration from the court to say whether he broke the Finance and Audit Reform Act?
Yes.
And the court made the declaration that he did. No,
and what happened?
no, what happens? Because
He
they went,
retracted it.
it is good. They went for a declaration and they got the declaration. They never gone for litigation. But when you get the declaration, that could have been followed up. The Director of Public Prosecution could have followed up on the declaration and take action. I could tell you for sure that a Director of Public Prosecution, Ratnisa, who I did work with, himself had taken action against public officers without it coming through the Auditor General. So, in essence, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, until when we sit down and try to debate, discuss, argue if we want, without quarreling, exactly how we are to be governed, and then we know the extent to which how we are not being governed in accordance to how we are to be governed.
I think how we know how we should, but you know what? Boy, really, this big. I mean, when you talk about influencers and movers and shakers, Jules, good evening, sir.
Good evening. I hope I can be heard. Good evening.
You can be heard loud and clear. We want to say enough. You look like we have to stretch this out. Leave it, boy. But we're
Well-
talking about we need your view on this, because we're talking about diaspora matters, number one, but also about laws as they pertain to public officers. Are they stretching the laws, breaking the laws, or only using discretion? And is that advisable? What do you think about ministers' discretion? Leave it in place or get rid of it?
Well, first of all, Joe Coy was once a minister who often abused his discretion. So I want to be very clear on that.
You could have started on Lisa for
We have an
that, Jules.
abuser in our midst. So, but you say, I think that we have a system that is completely perverted. It is a perversion of democracy, and it's a perversion of rationality. And so the entire concept of ministerial discretion, I believe, is rooted in a colonial system. And I think that it is really one of the most detrimental and spurious things. When I think of myself as 53 years old, I think of Joe Coy. Joe has to be 108 by now. I think Joe is 109 this year.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that my generation.
You know, Joe has a mic too, right?
Yes, I know that. Man. You can deal with me in time. No, but I'm just kidding. He's my dear friend. But I'm saying that when I look at myself at 53 and I think of how little our generation has contributed anything. I don't like to speak about high school, but I had a incredible high school year. Florencia Marin, Andres Perez, these are all in the same class. Marcus Pat, Paul Thompson. You had another Misha Shabbat, Yasser Musa. All these people were in the same class, and we're all at the age now. We're over the hill. We're done. Nobody cares. And look how little we have contributed. Nothing has changed. It's the same bullshit status quo. It's the same. So, like, man, when I think of ourselves as high school, as we may progressive and modern, and when I look, we're a bunch of old shitheads that have contributed nothing and changed nothing.
But again, you're not being fair. You're being mean because Belize is still here. We've survived. We've grown. I don't know that you could say.
But the same disease system rolls over from PUP to UDP. It's the same.
Which is worse? Which one?
Caprice and whim and flights of fancy and I like see that girl and I'm going to get you in a house and I don't like how you deal with that. Why it's so nasty.
You sound frustrated, but to the point of over the hill, you really get I don't know, fatalistic here, Pam. Listen,
listen, nobody cares. Once you are past the age of 35.
PUP, UDP, which one better, which one worse?
You've seen them both. They are the worst, the two worst things. It's like you're asking me which one is worse, Hurricane Hattie or Hurricane Janet, or the 1931 hurricane. They are both equivalent destructive forces. And why is that? What do they have in common? They put the party first, and Joe Coy knows this. Feed your own. That's what's happening in City Hall right now. Boy, that time feed. Who man going there? Francis man going there? Or the Anthony man? The who man when put there? Because I have to eat. I have to get this contract. Everything in this country is instrumentalized by political parties to eat. Forget the pigs at the trough. Make them say, boy, if we turn, we ain't get this. Who want that? Who want that? If a few regular people get some help along the way, it will be a blessed accident.
We wanted to we get so much we could talk, but we want to try you in on this diaspora thing. Should the diaspora vote? Should the members of the diaspora vote?
I will sound very unkind, and I apologize in advance. The diaspora should not vote because we the the Gideon, as they say, and I think that I understand that many of these people are economic refugees, and I understand that Joe Coy's party, Mr. Price had a very sinister, I think,
mean-spirited
agenda to force Creoles out of Belize or to make them feel not wanted.
You think so?
Because Creoles were inclined to be NIP. Because Creoles, because the Creoles
allegation, though.
What's that?
A serious allegation.
But it is true. But it is true.
No, opinion. No opinion. I don't.
No,
say
it's not an opinion. Well, of course, it's an opinion, but it's based on facts.
Yes. No. You have to remember, Creoles are the product. Please forgive me because my mother is a Creole as well. We are the product of. I say it. I'll do it how I say it. We are the product of rape, right? G. Mike. Your people and my people come from the same River Valley or my mother's people. And Creole are always pro-colonial because they are half of them are from the same colonialist or the white
bloodline.
So you
and the UDP is a pro-colonialist party.
Wait, maybe we have Tessa.
Are you saying rape produces colonialism?
Say again?
Well, that's his thinking.
I didn't hear you though.
Yes, you basically said that rape produces colonialism.
It definitely produces neocolonialism.
Colonialism produces rape.
Well, it sounded like you were saying the other way around. But anyway, so what are you saying about Creole then? They are
the Creoles are naturally half white or quarter white or 25% Scottish or whatever it is.
Detra,
and they are.
This is the typical stuff that we have to deal with.
No, I'm just saying
Push on,
Creoles are
you push on button, yeah.
No, that's great. I'm saying that George Price felt the Creoles were NIP sympathizers because NIP UDP are pro-colonialists because they're Creole, and the Creole that's who the white man put to run the civil service and the
So
bureaucracy.
what George Preston want Hispanics?
What's
George
that?
Preston want Hispanics?
Oh, he definitely wanted three things. He definitely
up.
wanted mestizo, a Mayan identity, and a Garifuna backbone. Absolutely. I really don't. And the PUP still has a black problem. Joe Coyne knows this. The PUP has a look at the constitution. Look at who makes up the PUP. It's of the elected representative, there are 9 Arabs. Something has to be wrong. They're not even in the census. Something has to be wrong.
There's some even racist or xenophobic. But
I agree with
that's looking at the
Let me say.
demographics of what we have in the House of Representatives.
No black for the man, no black for the man.
No, but I've
You're not a
mentioned
good
this to you
football player.
before. I've
Listen to
mentioned
me.
this to you before.
How do you explain Albert Catus? How do you explain Linda Rogers? How do you explain?
There's a perfect explanation, and Joe knows it. Ask Joe why Maxwell Samuels was a deputy. Ask him, because in every party you need a deputy who is black. That's why Maxwell Samuels was there. That's why Linda Rogers was there. George Price said, I rule by day and Linda rules by night. That is a carefully calibrated formula. That's right now why the UDP, when they have a Creole leader, you have to have the man from Corozal North, Hugo Pat, as the first deputy, because you have to have a racial balance.
And we saw that with the Esquivel rule.
But isn't that a good thing?
Oh yes, Esquivel and Dean Barrow.
It's a necessity. It's a
It's a good thing because the country is mixed. But you're suggesting that there was a deliberate move.
It was deliberate. It was
deliberate. Why Max Samuels was a deputy leader of the PUP? Not because of his preeminence or standing, because the PUP needed to have a deputy that's black after John Briceño, who was the first deputy who was Spanish. You need to put a second deputy. And that's why the PUP currently have a black problem. We know that when there's a cabinet shuffle, one man who can't get shuffled out of cabinet, regardless of what he does, is Rodwell Ferguson. Rodwell Ferguson is not, I would say, he has not distinguished himself for the highest level of statecraft. Right? In fact, he's gone through 3 CEOs.
I think I have listened to Jews.
Bust me up.
Which I am beginning to count now. And he may go beyond 3 and I might forget what I want to correct him on. But let me correct him first. Let me correct him first and the last one. When Max Samuels became deputy, it was not that they choose to have Max Samuels as deputy because he color and Johnny Briceño because of his color.
Come on now.
How you mean, come on? And I was the person who engineered.
No. But you're giving us what from your point of view. Let's do that. Let's understand that too.
No, but what Jules gave you just so was from what? From facts.
But yes, indeed, his point of view. You're giving us. Yes, that's what I'm saying. But
I am giving you facts, man. Well,
so
what Jules giving you is not true. That's what I'm saying.
So his is not facts, but yours is.
Because I was there. Yeah. I was the one who
but just catch you minute there, Joe. That would be even more reason for you to cover up.
Mr. Chairman.
Let's hear it.
I want to hear why you don't.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
It's not then, but I'm saying to you, we had a division within the party. We definitely had a division within the party. There was a group of us which represented about 17, 18 constituencies, the May the 15th movement. And we decided that we'll make a move to bring one of us as deputy party leader of this party. The person who was to beat was Jorge Spot. When we had the meeting, we found out that he had backed out. When he backed out, they asked me, and I tell them I won't be around that long. And then I turned to Johnny Briceño, and I tell him I think he should go, and he agreed. We went up to Independence Hall where the convention will be held. And it was there we were to decide who will be the deputy. We were confident that we had the numbers and that we will win. Said Musa, the chairman of the party, asked me to let us go inside the room. He said, Joe, let us come to some compromise. Let us have 2 deputies. because they were promoting Max Samuels, that faction, which I would call the Saidusa or Fonseca faction, and our faction. So we compromised, me and him, on behalf of the two different groups, that we'll have both of them, and then we will go to the national convention at the Boom area, and we'll celebrate. And that's how two became deputies. That's how we found the two deputies. That's one. Secondly, Jules, I want to go back to you with the Creole. Let me say this to you. I was 8 years old when this party was formed in 1950. In that period, about 78% of the population were Creole. In that period, there was institutionalized racism in this country. And I can name the places. The banks were there. All of those private institutions, the oil companies, they were all racist. If you didn't have a lighter shade of pale, and if you didn't graduate from St. John's College, and you were not a Roman Catholic, you had no place. And that is a fact. And I experienced it. Now, I will give credit to the UBAD movement who brought a consciousness to the black people in this country. They did. What happened? And I look back with a betrayal. I see it as a betrayal. It was the Creole in this country that was in the vanguard of the movement to decolonize this country. Mr. Price knew that it was the union, the General Workers Union, which were predominantly Creole, was the backbone for the PUP. So when the PUP were winning elections after elections, the Creole were in the majority. Mm-hmm. I will say this now to bring that to an end. I believe that the Creole was betrayed. I think
they forced them into the diaspora.
No. I finish this. They were betrayed by their own Creole. You know why? Today, the last census showed 25% of Creole in this country. And I keep saying it on this station. Their own people brought in a minority into this country and take over the merchandising sector and dominate it today and knocked out the Creole. So I would say this, it's not about racism for me. It's not about whether you are Creole or Mestizo. But the reality of it, that there was no such, there was the Royal Creole, which were very pro-British, but they were in the minority. The reality today is that what is happening on the south side of this city, where there is a majority Creole, they were denied many of the opportunities by the very Creole themselves, who were in government, both sides, PUP and UDP. Mm-hmm. The patronage system in this country, no, my brother, and I agree with you on this. The truth about it, your child made 60. The pass mark is 70. My child made 65, and I am celebrating and boasting. Hold up, because we do so good. When none of them pass, and that's it, maybe the type what we have, no, that's the type of governments we have. But we claim this one is better because he make more grade, but he never pass, none of them pass. So I will end on that, Jules. I have two more to bring, but I left them for another time, my brother.
Jules, I don't know. You don't have to respond to that, right? We good on that.
No, I appreciate his alternative facts. Yeah.
Alternative facts.
With respect to Joe, no man, Joe was there, but I have my own interpretation of those same events, but extremely valid and first-hand account, and I agree with a lot of what he says.
Let me ask you a pertinent question. How we stand now in this country as far as politics is concerned? Opposition, government, well, no opposition. What's the hope for the UDP getting back anytime soon and being a force to be reckoned with?
Well, I think that on a long enough timeline, any jackass is electable. Always remember that. That is known as the Philip Willoughby's principle. So the UDP will at some point appear electable, these same unelectable people that you see before you know. And Joe will know this as well, that when John Briceño became leader of the PUP in 2009, they said he couldn't do it. He's a villager. He cannot do it. Godfrey Smith wrote in his Yada online column named Flashpoint, I don't care if you go by train or by plane, just go. He was unfit for the job. The intellectuals in the PUP, the highbrow in the PUP, thought that he was a country bumpkin. You cannot lead this country from the north, they said. You have to. There's never been a leader not from the city. This guy's a villager. He has to go. And look at him now.
How is he doing? Not look at him now. He's the prime minister, but how is he doing as a prime minister of Belize?
Well, I think that I don't want to be self-referential, and forgive me if I am. I know people here find it hard to think that I'm actually extremely self-deprecating. But to be self-referential, I think that people accept that the government they have is lone ras, and that's a very important stage of peacefulness. So I think that people accept that he's lone ras, and their expectations are lowered.
But the
Right?
best we
And
got.
they accepted the UDP for this for a long time, for 8 years, and the UDP from 2011 to 2018, let's say, they accepted UDP, the lone ras, and they kept voting for them. So I want to say that the expectation of him has lowered a lot, because people first and say you're the same ras, and they say, oh, you're the lone ras. I mean, you first and say you're the same ras as UDP, and now they say, oh, but you're just like them to lone ras. So it's a very important stage. I think that he has fit into that role perfectly, because he's not a man of I would say not a man of exceptional talents. Forgive me for using his word, but I think that he's found. I see that when he appeared on Sun Up the other day, he has an interesting technique now, where when you hit him with a hard question, he pauses. Somebody has told him, don't say the first stupid thing that comes to your head. Say like the second stupid thing, right? So, and I'm not being discouraging. He's my good friend, and
You're cruel.
he's my good friend. But I see him much more pensive and cautious and reflective in answering questions. And I think that he's a lot more confident than he was when the entire PUP was elected. There were some sensitive, forgive the word, bitches. Right? Like they're really going like some bitch, like everything. And I think now they realize, okay, we got this. We don't have to go on like how we made it go on. I still think it's unacceptable that none of them have press conferences.
Yeah.
And I think that's a strike against transparency. It's only a norm even in Russia. But I think that how the prime minister right now is in a very comfortable and confident stage. And that's what I see him transmitting. And I think he's doing it well.
But that's
So
an
I think
interesting,
that
interesting
it well.
observation. They don't have press conferences, do they?
Very seldom.
No, they've never had one.
No,
The
they never
few
had
who
one.
had nothing. Like in the first month, Karim had a press conference, and then he realized, oh shit, the norm is that you can't have press conferences. So Karim has had a couple, Karim Musa, when there's a national crisis, but it's not the norm to have press conferences in the Briceño administration.
Are they
Because
accessible?
you can't show up the leader.
Have you been able to get to them for comments?
You know, they've improved a lot.
Yeah.
They've improved a lot because, as I say, when they were elected, they came from that 13 years of being out of power, and they acted like people who had been enslaved. They weren't, right? But they acted like people who had a massive chip on their shoulder, and everybody was out to get them. So like you can't say nothing, and then it text you. But now they realize that they face no political threat. The media, to quote King Lear, like flies to wanton boys are we to the gods. They kill us for their sport. They just see us as this. So I think that the government has become, the ministers have become more willing to do interviews and generally more accessible, because they realize they have no opposition. And who are you, the media? You could only hurt me. You have no idea of the multiple enterprises I have operating. You don't have a clue of all we to deal with, of all that going on at the table. You all, the media, are clueless because we got this system gamed. And this is PUDP. This is how they work, right? Like the UDP was running our entire immigration shop, our enterprise. This is the first thing you do when you're elected. Joel denied, but this is factual. The first thing you do when you're elected, where we could set up for who? All right, good. Make we say, he needs sell pharmaceuticals, make a move that. Where could give me, where got? All right, that one you and do it, got it. Enterprise. And so now they're realizing they were sensitive because they made start this hustling. And then I like, boy, the media find out. Then they realize, oh, no, can't find out nothing. We got this buried so deep in the bureaucracy. We got companies to hide this. And again, it's not the PUP, it's the UDP. It's how they operate. They operate for a profit.
But,
It's a political enterprise.
but more than that, though, Jules, are the people interested in even knowing? Do you believe that? Let's look at the role that the people then are playing in all of this. Because we know what the politicians do. We know how they are, and all of that. Unfortunately, they're not much good, we could say. What roles are the people should the people be playing? What are they not doing?
Well, I think that you can't have clean politicians if you have a corrupt electorate. And we have to accept that our electorate is corrupt. People are addicted
Mhm.
to patronage, which is one of the greatest gifts of the great father of our nation, George Price. I know that he's the great father, but look, all the picnics so bad, no? That something has to be something that has to be an indicator. You are the great father, but look on your picnic, they're all so bad.
No,
So
it's not that bad. It's not that bad, man.
our politicians are garbage, bro. Those are his
Yeah,
sons.
yeah, but you talk about the picnic and you talk only the politicians, but the people
Yeah.
in general, which is what I was talking about, the people. I mean,
Okay. I
uh,
think we have a corrupt electorate. I think
yeah,
that patronage, that George Price normalized patronage, it went through three stages. So the normal patronage that George Price did, which the UDP, they only exist as a contradistinction to PUP. They came in. I don't think they really had an identity. I think Manuel Esquivel started to give them that once they were elected, but they only existed to say that, well, if PUP the Wayabera, we the suit and tie. If PUP lied, we and tell you the truth. Right? So I don't think they came in with a clear philosophy, other than I think eventually they became more neoliberal under Manuel Esquivel. I think he was the first traits of that. But I want to say that George Price had this small patronage thing, which UDP rejected. Then the PUP came, and Joe knows this very well. They started getting into money politics in 1993. And that's when Jorge Spat gave his bloated contract speech. And that's when the PUP imploded and they lost to the worst opposition ever. In 1993, the PUP lost to the worst, most divided opposition in history. And the reason they lost is because
NBR.
people smelt that, hey, something suspicious about this money politics, which Ralph Fonseca was the architect of. So the PUP said, well, we have to flood the guilds. We can't go halfway. So Said became prime minister. And then Michael Ashcroft developed this incredible animosity for Manuel Esquivel. And then they flooded the guilds with money politics. They said, well, we're not going to take no chance. We're flooded. And the UDP were grossly unpopular. They were a terrible government. They were elected totally divided. That term was one of the worst ever. I mean, I can't imagine what Mr. Esquivel went through, having to deal with Hubert Elrington, on the outer fringes. Anyway, and so many others, Dito Juan, Salva Fernandez. It was a mad term. UDP was so unpopular. PUP flooded the guilds with Ashcroft's money, and they won so big in '98. And so the UDP in the 2000s, they linked up with Ashcroft, as did the unions. And then because he turned against the PUPs, and the UDP learned about money politics between 2005 and 2008, and they flooded the guilds. So I'm saying that was the second stage of corruption, for patronage, of corrupting the electorate. George Price started it out at a very nascent level, where the entire concept of patronage exists, that if you need something, you come ask for a personal favor. The politician wants you to know. The George Price era politician wants you to know, and they do this favor, they give the son this scholarship, and they do this. That's patronage. And obviously now it's on steroids, with ministers holding a land clinic. I am a god on a corner me, on a line up.
You're right to some degree, and I don't want to get off into that because I have I think George Price did it out of a social conscience. I really think. I don't think
I
I'm
really
not
do.
deliberate.
It's
But
politics.
and that's all right.
Politics.
But
It's
Ashcroft.
manipulating people.
All right. Ashcroft, is he the virus that they say he is, or he's just an astute businessman?
I think that he, like every person, is out for his self-interest. I think that he's been enabled by corrupt politicians,
Right.
and who sign bad deals, and then when they don't want to live up to it, that's when you end up in court. really this entire saga over BTL is over the accommodation agreement. That's really what it's over. That's which was a secret side Musa deal that was signed, right? That's what the entire BTL saga was about, the accommodation agreement. So, the entire nationalization and everything, it came down to that agreement. So I'm saying that Michael Ashcroft is only as bad as any other businessman who operates for a profit. It's just that the scale of his enterprise and his level of ruthlessness is you have to scale it up from the regular businessman who just tries sell cheap, buy cheap and sell expensive and rip off customs in the process.
Yeah, ruthless, interesting. Yeah, but and I got a story about Michael Ashcroft. I was selling a book to try to raise some funds for an operation I was having, and I met the man at Spooners, and he was showing the book, and I said, I try to sell this book. The man tell me, "Boy, you could give me that, but I didn't buy it for you." The man refused to buy the book in support of the fundraising I was doing, and so but in spite of that, I don't see him. I think I have to agree with you that I'm a businessman and he does what businessmen do, make money the best way you can. No,
Right, and that's my experience with him. That
bottom line, the profit. So
yeah, I mean, I don't think that I want to specify that I don't think he's. I don't think business people who operate for profit are generally the most ethical people and
generous even. They're not getting nothing. They just want to take.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, sir.
I have listened to Jules.
It's
And I must
painful.
say that you have articulated very eloquently the problems that is facing the country. I listened to your case with the accommodation agreement. I can tell you the facts on that, but I think you covered it fairly well. I can tell you too about the patronage systems, which I think you covered it fairly well. So I would say that the symptoms that you're identifying to a disease that is there, I cannot dispute them. They do exist. I think we have gone too far too far. But what we have now is just a veneer democracy. And perhaps we need to take note of Socrates, indeed, of his concern for democracy. That where you have an electorate that is not sophisticated enough, democracy will be a farce. How can you give people the free speech and they have nothing to say? I would ask, Jules, that the time has come now for some of us, maybe all of us around this table right now, to begin to search for the solution to these problems. Would you want to share with us what you see as solutions to the problems facing this country?
Okay, I think that the biggest problem we have is a lack of accountability, a lack of transparency, and so there are no guardrails for these ministers who have all this discretionary authority. So, Joe Coy has been one of the biggest proponents, and I've supported him in the total failure of the Public Accounts Committee, which he rightly says, should front load the system of monitoring how government finances are spent. These things are dysfunctional for a reason. The Accountant General's office and the Auditor General's office are dysfunctional for a reason. They reappointed the inert Auditor General after retirement against the Constitution, in my opinion, for a reason. Politicians, PUDP, want total status quo, total dysfunction or non-function in these critical oversight departments. It's amazing that these are the Public Accounts Committee and the Accountant and Auditor General are such key tools of oversight, yet they're left in total dysfunction. When the PUP came in, could we put on UDP as the chair of the PAC? My goodness, that was like, man, I was so happy. I can imagine Joe was the same. Nada, because you can't get no report from the Accountant General. Everything is totally backed out. Nobody knows what government is spending. It's a total and absolute farce. So I'm saying that the way to fix our system is to put in strict enforceable measures that do not require politicians for their funding, do not require politicians for their enforcement, do not have to go and see the minister. That if you fail to do so and so, this is the consequence you will face. So direct and real consequences and consistent reporting. That everything that we have to get to an information society. Joe, the Gazette of Belize, you still have to go buy the printers
Yeah.
or subscribe annually.
Who
I
reads
mean,
it?
it can't be online. This is error. They don't have it online for a reason. It's so easy. It's already printed. Just put it online. It's a file. It's a PDF file. Just put it online. They don't do it for a reason. Said Musa's administration briefly did it, from 99 to 2001, and said, "Boy, we have stopped this for us. People will find out what's actually happening." No, I'm just saying that these are very. You mean in 2024 we still have to go buy the print Belize? You have any of the new Gazette last week? Man, get the like you serious, breads. But that is, I'm saying that we have such a low level of commitment to sharing public information, and this starts at the political directorate because John Briceño is George Price's son. George Price did not believe in the media. And I'm amazed at John Briceño, and I've told him this. I'm not like talking behind his back. He has the same values of his father, Joe Briceño, of a 1980s political thinker. Boy, but we can't make that go up on radio. We can't do that. We can't put it on TV. Let it flow. John Briceño is stuck in the 80s. That's his concept of free media. He has his own TV channel, CTV3, which operates as just a political outlet. That's what it operates as, and that's what he sees as optimal. That's what he believes in. So that's the same George Price model. That's how Radio Belize operated. So
You're painting a dismal picture. Is there hope? You see any hope anywhere out there? And is there anything that we can look to say, well, boy, things are gonna get better?
What I find encouraging is that Shine is such a political amateur, Shine Barrow, that he can actually be easily led into making commitments to some far out shit. Like I got him on a show to agree to legalize gay marriage, right? Which no politician in their right mind in Belize should touch it against the pole. But I don't say it unkindly. I think he means well, but I'm saying that he's such an amateur that you can get him. He agreed also to let the media say the smart stream. John Briceño flatly objects to it. Patrick Faber didn't really embrace it, but open the smart stream. That's not your money. You know that, Joe. Make them open the smart stream.
Jules, can I take up on a matter that I thought you raised, which is very important?
Go ahead, please.
1.5, let's say a billion, 1.6, under the Appropriation Act, being spent year in, year out, and not accounted for. Violation of the Constitution under the Section Finance. No. I want to advance to my good friend Jules. Sometimes you remind me of Putin, You look like you Putin tonight, Jules. You're a handsome guy. You
have to knock on hard on that, though. That's how Joseph Goebbels.
No. No, Jules, suppose we were to say that we the citizens, you, me, and all of us here, that we will make a move now to bring these politicians to understand that we delegated our authority to them. We didn't give them any power. So, if we decide that we withhold our taxes and put it into an escrow account until when you account to us, don't you believe it is action like those, given the same laws that we have, we can begin to make them accountable?
I'm with that guy. I did double up on that. That's why I like to play.
Oh yeah, that's why I like. Why if you never,
Jules,
I don't know who you don't like, Jules, because I'm sorry for them, boy.
I had a dream one night about Jules,
Oh Lord, oh
Lord. Actually, I had just come out of a cave, and the darkness had dulled my vision. But I saw somebody like Jules at the summit of a mountain.
Oh no.
And he was waving to me. He said, Joe, let's go forward. Jules, let's go forward and make a change, brother.
I like that one. I agree with Joe completely. There needs to be some level of civil disobedience to force politicians to make to
act in the interest of the people.
Constitutionally required laws.
No, another 205.
Unbelievable, bro.
No, and not at 2005 though. I hope or January the 6th, like in the US. But
No,
Well,
not
that-
January
what Joe
6th,
has
but
can we
proposed is a
do it?
very, a
Gentlemen,
very
hold them
rational way.
accountable.
and I want Jules to Jules. All right, fine. I'm an auditor by profession. No, if you look at that budget of 1.6 billion, and you take out the amount that is being spent on human resource, and you add the ones them that are hidden behind the transfers, how on earth? Yes, our public sector is more capital and more human oriented than capital. But how on earth can you spend so much and just wages and salaries and these things?
It's
How
frightening.
can you be spending so much?
It's bloated. It's bloated.
Jules, we're talking.
Our civil service infrastructure is way too overburdened for the country. That is definitely.
So why don't we make another move until when you right size it, until when you rein it in, until when you bring back the permanent secretary, until when you bring back the neutrality, until when you bring back the merit system, we will withhold our taxes because that is what you are elected to do.
Well, you need to form a committee, one hot committee, and make we get started on some of these. Jules, how can the diaspora help in making Belize a better place and government better?
Yeah,
Any
boy, I have
suggestion?
to. I think that you know, it's hard with the diaspora issue. Is really difficult. I understand. We all have family members in the diaspora, and G Mike, you have lived there. You know, it's when you're here, G Mike. I don't know if there's anything if there's anything that can be done from outside. It's not like a system where you could write the congressman, you could send text, you could write, you could do anything till you did, because the politicians know that we control the electoral system, we control the bureaucracy, and we control the means of governance in this country. And our hold on this is impenetrable. So you in the diaspora, you could write letter, like Rick Scott, the big senator from Florida, wrote to Millennium Challenge Corporation. I don't like how they treat ASRB aside, I believe. We are a sovereign country. You know stronger we, Rick Scott. MCC just signed the grant agreement today with the CEO in economic development. I am saying that when you have an entire sovereign government behind you and you are invulnerable at every level, right? You are not politically vulnerable. You're not vulnerable to the press. You're not vulnerable to the people because you have already instrumentalized them, right? That's one of the best things politicians have done. They have created an incentive system for democratic participation.
Let me throw an idea that I've been putting out there. The diaspora have a representative that is elected from the diaspora to represent the diaspora and sit in the House of Representatives. Would it make a difference?
Well, I know it wouldn't make a difference because I have to be real. One person in the House of person in the House of Representatives.
Well, yeah, not of a
part of the majority.
Yeah,
sir, this country is run by the cabinet. This country is run by the executive. Regrettably, the executive and the legislature is all one big happy bundle of either red or blue.
That is true. That is true.
But the only power in this country rests in the cabinet. Mr. Briceño has made one of the most emphatic moves to fold in everybody within the ambit of the cabinet. I understand the ministers of state are not per se cabinet members. They're supposedly brought in on a rotation basis. But everyone now has cabinet or portfolio status. And in so doing, what he has done is he has consolidated the power of the executive and put it like a shaft in the legislature. See right here, House of Representatives, bam, the concept of a backbencher, done. See the whole shaft right here. Want to handle that.
Boy.
Do you think that constitutionally the cabinet should be at a certain size?
But it says it in the Constitution. It can only be 2/3 of the elected representatives.
So they're violating that then?
17.3. No, because what they do is, and it's Dean Barrow who perfected this. When you win with these vast majorities, right? That's what started in '98 when you start winning these blowout elections.
Yeah.
So what you do is you say you bring them in by rotation. That okay, so this week you be Minister of State for Economic Development. Next week I mean, bro, it's all just a realistic game because we don't know what happens in cabinet. Nobody has ever seen a cabinet confidential except when we produced one on the Portico agreement, right? When we were able to.
And I asked Mr. Cowie why shouldn't that
assurance.
be public at some point in the future?
It's ridiculous. How can we have public records and there's no in the US, right? It takes 30 years
freedom
to
of
declassify documents.
information.
There's no discussion in the Freedom of
Exactly.
Information Act about declassifying cabinet documents. When will they be declassified? Never. It's eternal secrets. Man, no, go for it.
Exactly.
Nobody not believe in a democracy. Politicians do not believe in democracy because democracy is a threat to their absolute control, manipulation, and servitude of our sovereignty.
Jules, do you have any ideas of how we can fix this? How we can start to fix it? If we're to make a first step, what would you suggest that be?
Is UNCA an option?
No, that's a waste of time. Waste of
agree.
time. One
I
cock,
agree.
two cock, no matter.
Jules, Miss Aria Wright said, give us a Senate seat. How do you feel about that?
Waste of time.
But Jules, everything
Really?
can't be waste. I mean, with something we have to stick. Even if we
Yes,
just
but
throw
I'm
money
saying
against
that
the
the only
wall.
thing we can do, right? The only thing we can do is take
Bend over and take it.
take desperate politicians like Shine Barrow and trick him into agreeing to all kinds of transparency requirements. Once there is transparency that everything have to be reported, every contract given out has to be posted. Smart Stream has to be opened at least to somebody, some civil society, or that the press gets to see it once a month or something. Once we can get foolish politicians to agree to, I'm not foolish because I'm saying they're foolish within the political logic, but wise in terms of how democracy works. Once we can trick foolish politicians into doing wise things for our democracy, that's the only way we can get change.
Let me hold you to your
But Jules, we have the transparency and
hold on, Joe, make I get to this, Joe. Let me hold you to your area of expertise, the media. Could we then rely upon the fourth estate to do what they're supposed to do and not just manipulate the facts to who is going to do the most advertising on their station?
Well, I don't believe that.
You know that's not possible, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying, guys, make we talk about what the media is, right? The media is at Channel 7.
Enterprise.
They have 2 journalists and me. That's 3. At Channel 5, maybe they have 5. They're the biggest. At Love, maybe they have 2 or 3. At Creme, maybe they have 2. I'm saying that these newsrooms are too small. The media is too
Well, are they even trained? Many of them are not properly trained, it seems.
They're not trained, and people don't have any courage, brother. We live in a society that cultivates fear. That's what the political directorate taught us. Always be afraid. If the limited popularity I may enjoy is because I'm the only person who's not afraid. I mean, who's out in media? Because Joe Coy isn't afraid of anybody. People are afraid of him. But that's another matter.
But Jules, let me add this to it. I have something to the person.
You're so wrong. Go ahead.
You know, one of the things that is misleading? You see, we watch American MSNBC, CNN, Fox News. And how can we compare them with our local media? We don't have that kind of resource.
We don't, but I'm saying that
media can't be accountable to hold the
I'm saying that where are the resources to do the investigative reporting? Everybody tells you, well, we need
it. Was in favor of the media. And I want the chairman to know that my expertise is beyond accounting. I understand the media, and I understand it as part of the bulwark of our democracy. And the reality of the media in this
supposed to be.
No. Let me finish with it. The media has done more for this country than the political parties have done, in the sense that they have exposed the wrongdoings of political parties.
They've also twisted many facts before putting it out there. They've done some damage now. Not heap so much glory upon it. Damage.
Jules, let me correct the chairman. Tell me which church doesn't have a bad priest.
Well, so we had to get the bad priest and the media for our guests.
But that doesn't mean the church is bad. Doesn't mean the church is bad, Jules.
It is the most grotesque expression of a deformed democracy. And nowhere in the Caribbean has this. That's how bad it is.
That's right.
media houses in Belize are owned by political parties, and they operate freely and then get advertising from government, soaking up all the resources. So the Belize Times, when PUP they in, buff, 70 pages ads. The Guardian, I get it when UDP come in. Wave Radio, Vibes Radio, Wave TV, Vibes TV. These things are the signposts of a deformed democracy. You can go to every Caribbean country. None of them have anything as grotesque and perverse as political parties with full media houses.
But
It is
they
a
have
group
organs.
What about political party registration? How would that clear up some of the issues we have?
Boy, without campaign finance laws,
Yes,
what
with
is it?
that.
Joe knows half these political transactions. The loan shoebox full of money. Say on 30,000 yeah, boy, come to my office street. Say on 50,000 yeah. There's no. I'm saying that you could register them. You can't regularize them, Balia. These guys operate a criminal enterprise for a public purpose. That's
Again,
what
Jules,
the party is.
again, is there hope? Is there hope? Do you see anything as trying to win? Something up there in the distance? Something on the horizon?
Boy, I think that one of our only hopes is the free and independent media. And while we have grotesqueries
I agree with you.
politically owned media houses, I think that we do have excellent, good, and honest people in the media, but it's just a few of us. We're in a small country and we have a small number of courageous people who aren't afraid of anything, because you have to realize, right? And so I think that is one of the greatest champions for change. But people in the society have to have courage, my brother, to speak up. You know how many people in public service know how many secrets, but they're afraid to talk to you because the politician and deal with them, and then got a sister who they got at school and they get a scholarship right now. I'm saying that it's just a web of influence that these politicians exert, and they do it for a very specific reason, to create a cloak of secrecy over society.
It's a real fear, Jude. It's not an imaginary fear. It's a real fear. Well, I think our presence here tonight is self-evidence of the importance of the media. Our very presence here. This is a medium right here.
I agree with that.
We have been speaking up, those who talk.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult in this society where politicians make you know, and PUDP, that if you speak out against them, they're gonna make you feel it.
And that's a violation of the Constitution right there.
Of course it is.
Jules, we could go with you all night, and it's particular with Joe here. But boy, I really want to thank you. I want to invite you back on, man. Please, all right? Make because you always put everybody against the wall. Get against the wall sometimes.
Especially his good friend.
Oh, Joe. Mercy.
Look, when you have a man like Jules as a friend, you don't need an enemy.
Aria says we must be ready to suffer if we want to change, because we suffer when we don't. Now, let's discuss sufferation for a minute. Any views on the Palestinian situation over there? I see the media houses in Belize are not even touching that matter. You see?
Well, first I have to compliment the government of Belize in realizing early that I am pro-Palestinian, so but in realizing early that they're dealing with genocidal maniacs and breaking diplomatic ties early. And I think that, so many other countries now, after the World Food Kitchen attack, so many other countries are like, man, these guys are out of control. We realized from very early that when you're dealing with Zionists, and I understand it's all tied up with religion, and I'm not into that, but I'm saying that when you're dealing with Zionists, when you're dealing with people who think they're God's people and they have God's right, brother, it's going to be hard to stop them. But I don't think the local media is covering it, because it's really an international issue, and you can just log on to any internet and see it. It's really well covered by Al Jazeera or whichever other media house you may enjoy seeing it.
Is that why the Belizean media doesn't cover international matters so much? Because it's so easy to get.
I mean, it's all over the internet. You go to any YouTube, you go to any cable, if you have cable, the 10 people that still do.
Yeah. I do believe that Belize was on the right side of history in doing what it did in cutting in diplomatic ties.
Respect to him on Courtney.
Yeah, and I think we should maintain the vigilance and keep making our position clear. Now, we're not in agreement with that because how can you be? How can anybody be? So,
Many people are, brother. Many people are.
I hear.
And Shine Barrow is. I believe that Shine Barrow is
Religion
pro-Israeli.
again. Religion again. Yeah, he's Jew. He has claimed himself a Jew.
He claims Jewish ancestry. I'll leave him to it, brother.
Yeah. Well, listen. I want to say thank you very much. We're past over time, and with them, I want to keep you, but we don't want to do that on a false pretense. You never tell with that. When you come on and say you're doing a whole show, we'll do the whole show and we'll talk some more.
My apologies to everyone for being so bombastic and loud. It's just
you're
Thanks for coming.
You're
Thanks for
Jews. You
coming.
know what? Come on here and disappoint me now. And I wish you wouldn't be so hard and joke with kind of man.
no, man. I do it because I love him.
Yeah.
He's a good man, good and true.
Reciprocal, my brother.
Guys, thank you a lot. See why we're out of here. Jules, respect every time. Deidre, Lisa,
You're welcome.
I see Tessa bowed out early.
Yeah, she has to go to sleep.
All right,
She-
Greg, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Enough love every time. But to all our faithful listeners and viewers, respect.
DJ.
Your DJ has only just begun.
The DJ accepts no responsibility for the next record. This is a request.
Yo, what the baddest mix this? No man, don't tell me nothing. Yeah. Racism is alive and well. If we as black people and people of color don't get ourselves together, form some kind of unification, foundation with the talk economically to capitalism business. It's real. Listen to me, Lord. Racial profiling. It's a serious thing. A bird without wing. Racial profiling. Listen, me king, this one a top a ranking. Racial profiling. It's a serious thing. A bird without wing. Racial profiling. I saw the thing said in a this system. I cannot breathe. Living while black, much less gonna Starbucks. Living while black, up against the clan. Living while black, life in my hand. Living while black, calamity in we under constant attack. Master race, master plan, the drive me hold me back. Smoke it on, little rhythm, give me one drop. Your movements, they just can't stop. But I cannot sell water as a POC. Hermit party will call the COP. I cannot enter a pool as a POC. Pool patrol parlor calling the COP. If I am grilling in the park as a POC, barbecue Betty will call the COP. If I check into an AR and B, my persuasion cannot be a for POC. Racial profiling is a serious thing. Burning out wing. Racial profiling. Listen, me king is on your top around team. Racial profiling is a serious thing. Burning out wing. Racial profiling. Them feeling emboldened. Showers them taking is golden. I believe that massive me begging if you just live progressive because we really like to real life if we live. When it comes earthquakes like Jack Hill, General Lebo, ready for it, no forgive. Aggressive, assertive, attentive, innovative. Black people representative. We wanna just lean back and check we motive. Sing out right now. Youth them they kill one another. Right now all the time. Feel the prayer to the Father. Right now. Believe under fire. Right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. The youth them they kill one another. Right now all the time. Feel the prayer to the Father. Right now. Spread the news to your brother. Right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. Blind lead the blind. Prophecies fulfilled. Signs of the times. When Satan billions them call it white collar crime. Granny scrape the pennies, but she cannot find a dime in the country. One more wrong and that them folk and wine. If vanity then they try this time mankind. So them might get snatched up from behind and bleed to the eye when job bind the twine. Cause of them the economy on decline, moral fabric of society on decline, ecosystem on decline. Them could have started all day, one thing they can't find, and that's a peace of mind. Sing right now, you say me kill one another right now in the time. Really pray to the Father right now. Please under fire right now, right now, right now, right now. You say me kill one another right now in the time. Really pray to the Father right now. Spread the news to your brother right now, right now, right now, right now. Hey boy, move savage. Poor people need 10 more stimulus package. To all them fools, but don't cause all the damage. Boom. Yes, I know, find nothing in the wreckage. Big cigar, hunting cottage. Wife with the glove check, horse and carriage. Look like they want with the start eat out a garbage. Bump that, red dot, melon flip bust like cabbage. Wake up, smelly raw sewage. Jungle stomach to digest all the carnage. Poor people not forgetting no left wing, so them left with the whole is thinking luggage. And boy, I did get the message. Read the Bible, but miss certain passages. Collins, up to Cartney. Once again, Collins. Right now, use them to kill one another. Right now, in the time, really pray to the Father. Right now, bees under fire. Right now, right now, right now, right now. Use them to kill one another. Right now, in the time, really pray to the Father. Right now, spread the news to your brother. Right now, right now, right now, right now. Blind lead the blind. Prophecies fulfilled. Signs of the time. When Satan billions, them call it white collar crime. Granny scrape the pennies, but she cannot find a dime in country. One more wrong and that them coke and wine. If one is it, then they try this time mankind. Choke them like it's not up from behind and bleed to the eye when just bind the twine. Cause of them the economy on decline, moral fabric of society on decline, ecosystem on decline. Them could have start all day, one thing they can't find, and that's a peace of mind. Sing right now in the time, feel the prayer to the Father right now. Believes under fire right now, right now, right now, right now. Many more is open to the right one, Jaja Subway Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more, and it's that Jaja with the love with heart will never be broken. One door is closed, many more is open to the right one, Jaja Subway Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more, and it's that Jaja with the love. Me one bread that try to stop me in my back. My girlfriend left me true, me never have no dollars in a stock. Best friend about the claim, they dread the smoke. How the lyrics, where will they drop the walk? Big game hunters, them they set them trap. But will they pray to the Father non-stop? Help me keep the heathens back. Help me keep the heathens back. When one door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan, Jaja Subway Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more, and it's that Jaja with the love with heart will never be broken. One door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan, Jaja Subway Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more, and it's that Jaja with the love. We run up into enough obstacles, surprisingly from we own people. Them just hate to see the dread. We say pinnacle, them a hope and pray. Say we stumble, but we burning both ends of the scandal. Daily routine, read the Bible. Despite the effort of the devil, we have to reach Jaja steeple. When one door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan, Jaja Subway Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more, and And it's that Jaja with the love we heart will never be broken. One door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan Jaja, so boy Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love. Me one brother try to stab me in a me back. My girlfriend left me true, me never have no dollar in a stock. Best friend about the claim, the dread, the smoke. How the lyrics, where will they drop the walk? Big game hunters, them they set them trap. But will they pray to the Father non-stop? Help me keep the heathens back. Help me keep the heathens back. When one
they say you never miss your water until your well run dry. And overspilled milk, a big man is not supposed to cry. Well then, Butterbrimo, if you're the woman Butterbrimo, them could have charged her for sin. Butterbrimo, straight cleaning, in search of fucking. Butterbrimo, fully they made examine, figure and lose such a sweet brownie. Butterbrim, now it's the dread she call it when she need sexual healing. Anyways, one man lost is another man's gain. If you can't handle the traffic, then stay out the lane. Behind her beautiful smile, she was hiding her pain. You couldn't see the tears due to the falling rain. But with a woman emotions, son, you don't wanna play games. Then got certain moves where want put you to shame. And then you begging and you balling will all be in vain. When I bet she call the next morning. Remember all of the first time you meet it. You have to do that clutch must move to keep it. Candlelight dinner, wine and chocolate. Don't forget the roses, big man, this talking. You should have me walk her down to the pulpit and remove her sexy ass from off for the market. Your friends don't have no woman, but them calling you whip. And like an idiot, you believe it. Butterbrimo, if you're the woman, Butterbrimo, them gonna charge her for sin. Butterbrimo, straight cleaning, in search of fucking. Butterbrimo, fully made examine, figure and lose such a sweet specimen. Butterbrim, now it's the dread she call it when she need sexual healing. A woman is a gift unto humanity. Treat her with respect and dignity. Heed the words of the great Tyrus Riley. She royal will treat her like royalty. She works, she cooks, she clean and wash your stinking laundry. All she wanted in return was your loyalty. Could I make her a carnival free karaoke? Her love just come down and she need a remedy. You met her at the peak of her sexuality. Wrong time to leave a big woman lonely. Pretty like an angel, but she well freaking. And now she feeling horny. Income not a dread to fulfill her fantasy. She blows when I whisper sweet nothing softly. She's on a journey. Onto ecstasy. Butterbrimo, if you're the woman, Butterbrimo, them gonna charge her for sin. Butterbrimo, straight cleaning, in search of fucking. Butterbrimo, fully they made examine, figure and lose such a sweet brownie. Butterbrim, now it's the dread she call it when she need sexual healing. Fool him, know him, the holy nine palm my hand. Woman recently inherited acres of land. Cassava, cocoa, ganja and yam. Yeah, stripping on the box to make the Cessna land. DJ, turn up the bass and make the dance all ram. See why not the building with a brand new song. Word to the wise, all my youth man, you need exceptional skills to keep a good man. Main ingredient, communication. Stop listening for answer and for listen for overstand. All she ever needed was your affection, your kissing, caressing, and attention. You couldn't solve this complex equation, so go back under the rock, hence you crawl out from. You get the test and you feel the exam. Nobody dread, they read the diagram. Butterbrimo, if you're the woman, Butterbrimo, them gonna charge her for sin. Butterbrimo.